114 degrees, that is the temperature swing. The models are showing over a 10-day stretch starting right now. From Nashville hitting a record high of 84 degrees Fahrenheit this Friday to wind chills dropping to 30 below zero in North Dakota and South Dakota by Monday. March 16th, and the reason this is happening is something that only occurs a handful of times per decade. The polar vortex is splitting in two. And while that split is building up energy for the second half of March, the first half of this week is going to drop rainfall totals that are genuinely difficult to say out loud, up to 6 to 8 inches across the corridor where Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Missouri come together, with isolated spots potentially hitting 10 inches, and that is not a weekly total. That is a multi-day event that is already in motion right now. And sitting on top of all of that is Friday's severe weather setup and enhanced risk at level 3 out of 5. With the entire enhanced zone flagged for what the National Weather Service describes as supercells capable of strong tornadoes, hailstones greater than 2 inches in diameter, and wind damage, and the Storm Prediction Center is already tracking the Tuesday, March 10th setup 7 days out, which is the kind of confidence they almost never put on paper that far in advance. Which part of this lands on your doorstep depends entirely on your zip code, so let's break it down day by day and city by city, starting right now with Thursday. Because Thursday is a serious, severe weather day in its own right, before Friday even arrives. And the Panhandle and Southern Plains need to be locked in starting this afternoon. Thursday's severe risk runs from the Texas Panhandle through western Oklahoma and into southwest and central Kansas, and the timing window for the most dangerous storms is late afternoon through sunset and into the early evening. Amarillo is sitting under the highest risk of the day, with very large hail, 70 miles per hour wind gusts, and an isolated tornado all on the table, and storms here could develop fast once that dry line sharpens up after 5 p.m. Lubbock at 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit Thursday, with severe thunderstorms likely in the afternoon. Protect your vehicles right now if you are anywhere near the Panhandle, because 2-inch hail landing on an unprotected car is the kind of damage that takes weeks to sort out, with your insurance company Wichita Falls and Abilene sitting squarely in the slight risk zone, and Oklahoma City at 62 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit with scattered supercells possible in the afternoon and evening. Hail and damaging winds as the lead concerns. Dodge City and Wichita in Kansas are right in the Thursday crosshairs, and Wichita specifically has a severe thunderstorm risk that is being described as likely for Thursday afternoon, with large hail as the primary concern and damaging winds close behind Kansas City at 55 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit, with showers and possible thunderstorms on the severe edges, and the entire southern Kansas corridor needs to treat Thursday evening like a pregame for Friday, not a warm-up that does not count. The wild card for Thursday is that stubborn low cloud cover Thursday morning if it lingers too long. It caps the atmosphere, delays storm development, and shrinks the tornado window. But if the clouds break by early afternoon as expected, the window for explosive supercell development opens fast, and the dry-lined clash zone from Childress. Texas up through Elk City. Oklahoma is where rotating storms are most likely to fire. This is the area that produces the kind of cells that drop tornado reports. Dallas and Fort Worth at 65 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit Thursday, with a lower severe risk than Wednesday, but absolutely not off the hook. Thursday's storms from the west could push far enough east by evening to bring hail and gusty winds to the DFW area. Austin at 72 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit with isolated severe storms possible. And the entire I-35 corridor from San Antonio to Dallas is sitting in Gulf moisture so rich right now that dew points are running near 65 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. That is the raw fuel that makes every supercell this week more dangerous than it would be in a drier atmosphere. Drop your city in the comments right now if you are in the Texas Panhandle, western Oklahoma, or southwest Kansas, and you can see anvil-topped cells building to your west this afternoon. Tell us if you are in DFW or OKC and the sky is getting that greenish tint. Tell us we pull these real-time ground reports into tomorrow's coverage, and they help us pinpoint where the overnight threat is moving faster than any model can track it. Nashville at 68 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Thursday with thunderstorms possible. Memphis at 70 to 78 degrees Fahrenheit, and warm Louisville at 55 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit with showers and possible storms. Birmingham at 65 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit and mild and across the Tennessee Valley and Mid-South. Thursday is the day of watching storms roll through without being directly in the worst of it, but this entire corridor is about to see record warmth on Friday before the cold front crashes through. And that warm to cold whiplash is exactly what feeds the Friday severe weather machine. Chicago at 45 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit Thursday with scattered showers and possible thunderstorms. Indianapolis at 48 to 58 degrees Fahrenheit with rain and storms possible. Wind gusts up to 15 to 25 miles per hour. Columbus at 45 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit with showers. Cincinnati at 48 to 58 degrees Fahrenheit with rain. And the Ohio Valley needs to understand that Thursday is not primarily a severe weather day for them. It is primarily a flooding day. The Ohio River corridor is getting repeated rounds of heavy rain on top of already saturated ground. And flash flooding is now the underdog threat that could end up being the biggest story of the week. The flooding threat deserves its own spotlight today. The total rainfall being modeled for the corridor from eastern Texas through Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, and up into the Ohio Valley is running at 3 to 5 inches across most of the area, with isolated brown-shaded spots hitting 6 to 8 and potentially touching 10 inches. That is feast or famine rainfall for a region that has been dealing with dry conditions. And when it comes like this all at once, the creeks and rivers do not have time to catch up. Detroit at 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit with cloudy skies and possible rain. Cleveland at 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit with rain showers. Pittsburgh at 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit with rain. Likely Buffalo at 32 to 42 degrees Fahrenheit with rain and snow showers. And the Northeast corridor is finally getting a break from the wintry mess that hit earlier this week, with New York at 45 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit running milder with rain showers, and Boston at 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit seeing showers but no more icy mix. Washington, D.C. at 45 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit with rain and some gusty winds. Philadelphia at 45 to 52 degrees Fahrenheit with showers. With out west and in the southeast, the story is completely different. Los Angeles at 68 to 74 degrees Fahrenheit and sunny Phoenix. Tucson and Mesa at 72 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit and dry Las Vegas at 65 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and pleasant San Diego at 65 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit, San Francisco at 55 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit, partly cloudy. And for the southeast Atlanta at 65 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit mild with only a chance of showers. Charlotte at 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit partly cloudy. Jacksonville at 72 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit partly sunny. The southeast and west are the quiet corners, while the central U.S. bears the weight of this entire multi-day sequence. Denver at 48 to 58 degrees Fahrenheit. Thursday with sunny intervals. Seattle at 48 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit with rain. Portland at 50 to 58 degrees Fahrenheit with showers. Boise at 45 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit and sunny, and the Rockies are seeing a separate snow story play out this week that most of the country is not paying attention to. Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, Utah, and Colorado are all picking up meaningful mountain snowfall from Thursday through the weekend as the cold energy builds out west. And that cold energy is the same air mass that is eventually going to swing east and flip the entire pattern around mid-March. Friday, March 6th. And here is the one number that explains everything about why Friday is different from Thursday. The triple point, the exact location where the low pressure center, the warm front, and the cold front, dry line combination all meet, because that is where the lift is the strongest, the shear is the highest, and the atmosphere is the most loaded. And the triple point on Friday is sitting right over the heart of Tornado Alley from eastern Kansas through Oklahoma and into northwestern Missouri. The Friday enhanced risk zone covers Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Kansas City, Wichita, and Jefferson City. Missouri at level 3 out of 5, and the National Weather Service language for this zone is specific. This setup will support supercells with strong tornadoes, in addition to the instability and shear. Steep low to mid-level lapse rates will be in place, supporting a large hail and wind damage threat. And hailstones greater than 2 inches in diameter will be possible with the more intense supercells that is not generic warning language. That is precise operational forecast language. The Friday wind gusts deserve to be said clearly and separately, 70 to 80 miles per hour in a straight-line wind event from the squall line. And this is not a gust inside a tornado. It is the derecho-type wind threat from the squall line that forms after the supercells congeal in the evening 70 miles per hour. Straight-line winds knock power out for hundreds of thousands of people, down mature trees, flip semi-trucks on exposed highways, and peel roofs off structures that were never designed to handle that kind of load. The Friday setup also has what forecasters describe as a banana-shaped slight risk zone stretching from the DFW area all the way north to just south of St. Louis. And the reason for that shape is the boundary that stalled out over North Texas overnight. Thursday storms are going to fire along that boundary after 5 p.m. Friday. Build on top of it as it becomes more unsettled. And by 6 to midnight Friday night, this entire banana-shaped zone is going to be the most active weather area in the country. Dallas and Fort Worth enhanced risk or higher is the floor on Friday, not the ceiling. The nocturnal squall line means the worst wind threat could arrive after most people have gone to bed. Make sure your county-level alerts are turned on loud before you go to sleep Thursday night. And if you have outdoor items that 70 miles per hour winds could turn into projectiles, now is the time to secure them. Not Friday morning when the storms are already developing to your southwest. Chicago on Friday is in the slight risk zone and needs to pay attention to the late evening squall line. Indianapolis at 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Friday could see record warmth in the afternoon, followed by severe weather threat in the evening. Nashville is being forecast at 84 degrees Fahrenheit on Friday, which would be a record high. And the warmth arrives right ahead of the cold front, and that contrast between record warmth in the afternoon and severe weather arriving in the evening is exactly the kind of setup that produces the most organized and long-track tornado events. Atlanta is forecast at 82 degrees Fahrenheit Friday, Gainesville. Florida potentially hitting 87 degrees Fahrenheit. Widespread record highs are expected across the eastern U.S. on Friday as that deep warm sector pushes north, and this warmth is not going to be subtle. It is going to feel genuinely remarkable, which is exactly why the cold front crashing in behind it is going to be such a dramatic shift, and why the severe weather setup for Friday has meteorologists paying close attention to the energy on both sides of that front. The Saturday picture after Friday's system sweeps through the cold front, crashes south, and the new severe weather focus shifts to the Gulf Coast, Corpus Christi, Houston, Beaumont, Lake Charles, and New Orleans all move into the crosshairs Saturday as that cold front pushes through, and then Sunday sees another round of thunderstorm chances along the Gulf Coast from Houston to New Orleans to Gulfport and Mobile, so the storm train does not stop at the Texas Panhandle and Kansas. It keeps moving south and east through the weekend. Here is the community check-in for Thursday and Friday if you are in the Texas Panhandle, western Oklahoma, southern Kansas, or the DFW area. Drop your city and tell us which hazard has you most concerned. Thursday's supercell hail threat, Friday's tornado potential, or Friday's overnight wind event, and if you are in the Ohio Valley flooding corridor. Tell us what your local creek and river levels look like today compared to yesterday. Those numbers help us figure out where flash flooding becomes the lead story Friday night. And now, the part of this forecast that the national news is not connecting. Yet the polar vortex is splitting in two right now due to a sudden stratospheric warming event that is already underway. And the reason that matters is the timing. It takes 7 to 10 days for the cold air from a polar vortex split to descend from the stratosphere down to where we can feel it at the surface, which means the cold air that is going to change the second half of March is already in motion. It just has not arrived yet. The timeline from the polar vortex split looks like this. This week brings record warmth across the eastern U.S., while severe weather dominates the plains next week. Tuesday and Wednesday bring the next major storm system, and then around the 14th through 16th of March. The cold air descends, and the pattern bombs out. Wind chills dropping to 30 below zero in North Dakota and South Dakota, the freezing line pushing all the way south into the southern plains. And this is not going to be a one-off cold shot. It is the beginning of a cooler, more active pattern that could persist into April. Tuesday, March 10th is the next setup the forecast community is watching most closely, a strong low-pressure center developing near the Colorado Rockies and southern plains. With a cutoff low off the Baja California that needs to phase correctly with the jet stream, and that phasing question is what makes Tuesday complicated if it comes together the way the Colorado State machine learning data is suggesting. The severe weather footprint for Tuesday could extend all the way to Michigan, which is genuinely rare for early March. The SPC slight risk already posted for Tuesday covers North Texas, the DFW area, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Wichita, Topeka in Kansas, and then into Missouri Springfield, Jefferson City, Joplin, and Branson, all inside the current risk area, Fort Smith, Fayetteville, Jonesboro, and Little Rock in Arkansas also included, and this is a Day 7 risk posting, which forecasters say typically grows, not shrinks, as the event gets closer. The Tuesday setup also brings more heavy rain to areas that are already going to be soaked from this week, and the flooding threat for the Ohio Valley and the Deep South is going to be heightened because the ground will have zero remaining capacity by the time Tuesday's rain arrives on top of everything that fell Wednesday through Sunday. This is how individual storms become a multi-week flooding disaster that outlasts every single storm siren. And then there is the winter side of Tuesday and Wednesday on the cold backside of that low-pressure system. There is a possibility of freezing rain and snow returning. The snow line for Tuesday's system is expected to shift further south than what we are seeing this week. Accumulating snow could come back for the northern plains, upper Midwest, and parts of New England, and by the time the mid-March Arctic blast arrives around the 14th through 16th. That snow line could push deep into the southern plains. Here is what both models agree on about mid-March. It is coming. It is real, and it is going to feel abrupt after this week's record warmth. The European model has multiple shots of cold air building. After March 13th, the GFS is less aggressive on timing, but eventually shows the same result, and the pattern that sets up after mid-March looks like it could keep temperatures below average through the rest of March and potentially into April. This is not a one-off cold snap. This is a genuine seasonal shift. Miami at 78 to 84 degrees Fahrenheit and warm Thursday. Orlando at 75 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit and sunny Tampa at 75 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Partly cloudy New Orleans at 72 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit with thunderstorm chances, and warm. And the Gulf Coast and Florida are going to be the last places to feel the mid-March pattern change. Right now they are sitting comfortably in that warm sector. But by the weekend, the cold front's going to be pushing through Texas and Louisiana, and the Gulf Coast severe weather window opens up Saturday and Sunday. Minneapolis at 32 to 42 degrees Fahrenheit with cold and possible light snow. Thursday, St. Paul at 30 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Milwaukee at 38 to 48 degrees Fahrenheit with possible rain and snow. Mix early Fargo at 25 to 35 degrees Fahrenheit. And cold in the northern tier of the country is the Canary in the coal mine. This week, they are feeling the edge of the cold air that the rest of the country is going to get hit with in full force around mid-March. And if you live in Minneapolis or Fargo right now, you already have a preview of what is coming for the southern plains in about 10 days. Oklahoma City and Tulsa, 3 severe weather days in a row: Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And the cumulative fatigue of a multi-day sequence is a documented problem with severe weather preparedness. People let their guard down after surviving the first 2 days and get caught flat-footed on day 3. Friday is the day with the highest ceiling, the EF2 plus conditional flag, and the nocturnal squall line that keeps the threat going after dark. Treat it with fresh eyes, not tired ones. Anchorage at 20 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit with cold and snow. Denver at 48 to 58 degrees Fahrenheit and mostly sunny Colorado Springs at 45 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit and cool Albuquerque at 55 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit sunny El Paso at 68 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit dry. And the full national temperature contrast on this Thursday morning from Anchorage's snow to San Antonio at 78 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit, and Austin pushing into the low 80s is the same energy gap that is going to be powering severe weather across the plains through the rest of this week and into next. If you are in Los Angeles at 70 degrees Fahrenheit and sunny, or in Phoenix at 78 degrees Fahrenheit and dry, or in Miami at 82 degrees Fahrenheit and beautiful, this week's storm sequence might feel like it has nothing to do with you, but someone, in Amarillo or Wichita or Kansas City is tracking this forecast right now. Watching the sky every afternoon and checking their shelter plan, sharing this video with them, gives them information they need before Thursday evening arrives. Not after the warnings have already been issued. Before we wrap up, we especially want to hear from the areas that get skipped in national weather coverage, the Texas Panhandle towns south of Amarillo, the small farming communities along the Oklahoma-Kansas border, the Missouri Ozarks, rural western Arkansas, and the Ohio Valley cities between the major metros. Drop your city and tell us what the sky looks like right now and what your creek levels are. That ground level intel is exactly what helps us pinpoint tomorrow's flooding hotspots before the water's already moving. Here is what is riding on tonight's model runs. The overnight data is going to tell us whether Thursday's overnight convection stabilizes the atmosphere enough to give Friday's afternoon storms a clean slate, or whether the messy overnight storms choke off the most dangerous part of Friday's tornado window. And that single question, clean atmosphere Friday afternoon or not, is the difference between an enhanced risk day that delivers on its potential and one that underperforms. Tonight's runs are also going to start sharpening the Tuesday, March 10th picture. Right now, the models are still arguing about whether the Baja cutoff low phases correctly with the main jet stream trough, and if they start converging on the same solution overnight. Tomorrow's video is going to be a very different and more urgent conversation about what is building for next week. Back-to-back severe weather weeks, with a brief record warm weekend sandwiched in between, is the kind of pattern that does not show up every year. And the big picture signal worth watching beyond all of this, the polar vortex split and the sudden stratospheric warming event, are the most significant longer range weather signals active right now when a polar vortex splits. The subsequent cold air outbreak typically affects large portions of the country for weeks, not days, and the models are showing that Arctic air reaching as far south as Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi around March 14th to 16th if that verifies. The last week of March could feel completely different from anything this week is giving you. The bottom line for Thursday through the weekend and beyond Thursday is the supercell warm-up in the Panhandle and Southern Plains. Friday is the main event with record warmth followed by enhanced risk severe weather and an overnight squall line. Saturday shifts the threat to the Gulf Coast. And then Tuesday brings another major setup before the polar vortex cold air arrives mid-month. Don't be scared. Be squared away. Know your shelter plan. Protect your vehicles from hail. Check your creek levels. Keep your alerts on loud. And we will see you tomorrow morning with the sharpest Friday picture yet.